Hello, one and all. Welcome to a really cool, really special Techthusiasm Live today. Going on Saturday here, a little bit early, so we'll see what the turnout is. Hopefully, have enough folks to call it a party. I see folks coming in right now. As you join it up, please drop a comment in the chat there. Let me know who's out there. Shout out, hit the like button. Let me know where you're from. Let me know if you've done anything interesting in your home theater, AV, hi-fi setups, and all of that in the last couple of weeks. Special stream today. Today, the actual day today is the second anniversary of this whole Techthusiasm brand, YouTube, community experience, social media experiment, and all that stuff. So pretty fun, I think, overall. And it's Father's Day weekend, so happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. More than likely, dads and moms on the stream. So the channel audience or whatever, like most of these channels, I think is 90 some percent male. But yeah, really cool. So 2 years doing this whole thing since I kind of put the idea together and decided to kind of put myself out there, share the whole home theater experience through this Techthusiasm endeavor. And definitely, I think it's been incredibly fun, incredibly rewarding. I've developed and grown so much. So we'll be reflecting a little bit today, talk about some current happenings, some tweaks and some stuff that I've been working on around the theater in the last week or so, week and a half, I think, since we last were live, since the last podcast. And then I was thinking to go through kind of like my journey, my home theater journey, and share some of the history and some of the details, like what did my original setups look like? Where did I start kind of in this hobby? I'd say I've had a projection-based, not always through all of the years, but my first projection-based multi-channel surround sound home theater system I set up back in 2000. So what is that? 23 years of building systems and having different types of systems. So we'll talk about that as we moved around the country a little bit. My wife and I, we had to scale up, scale down, and then we were able to kind of scale back up in this hobby. So all of that and a whole lot more. So again, thanks everybody for turning out. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody that has ever done something on the channel, ever turned up, watched a video, liked a video, shared a video, left a comment. And of course, super thanks to all of the folks that have gone above and beyond. And, a couple of the channel members that we have, the super thanks to all of the support people that have used the affiliate shopping links and all of that stuff to just help me support, help me grow. Everybody that hit the subscribe button and so on. I'm just so grateful. Again, it's been an amazing 2 years, and I'm really excited, I guess, to say where this whole Techthusiasm thing will be in a year or 3 years or 5 years and beyond. So let's hit a couple of the comments, folks coming in. Julius, I think probably the OG Techthusiast in the channel. I think you might have been one of the guys, one of the folks out there that found me first, and has just been there on every video, everything along the way. One of my fellow collaborator friends, TKK, yep, road to 10K. So over 2 years to the day, I've got now, I think, 400 plus videos posted on the channel, and I have deleted some. I haven't deleted a lot, but I probably more likely at least over 425 videos posted. I think 407, 408 sitting live on the channel right now. So I've really tried to make, a regular flow, a lot of content, hopefully useful content. Some things have done really well. Some things have just floundered. I think every person in this space, in this YouTube space, has experienced that, especially as we kind of try different things or talk about kind of different topics. It's always interesting to see what gets some legs behind it and what just, you put some time and effort and energy into something that you thought was interesting or unique, and you thought people would be interested in it, and it just goes away. It withers away on these channels. But 400 plus videos, we're knocking on the door. I think I'll probably have it this weekend through today into tomorrow. 8,500 subscribers. So yeah, road to 10K for sure. I think hopefully 10K maybe by the end of the summer or midsummer. And not that long ago, I think maybe last month actually, 1.5 million views, 1.5 million total views across all the videos, all the content, and stuff on the channel. So just, I thought it hit a million. I don't remember what day it was specifically that that we crossed over 1 million. That just seems like this massive milestone, right? To kind of be excited about and celebrate. Whatever. It took a year and a half, maybe a year, a little more than that, probably actually, to maybe about a year and a half, I think, to hit a million views, and then in just a handful of another few months, 1.5 already. So the channel's going. we're cranking away. And I'm here. I get up Saturday, Sunday morning. As soon as I wake up, man, my mind is like on, like, I want to film this, or let me go experiment with this. Let me make this. Let me hop on. Let me answer some comments. Engage, set up some posts. Just trying to do everything around this whole channel, around this whole endeavor. Fires me up. I think it inspires my kids. It's fun to do entrepreneurial things. If you've got, I think I've said this in some community posts as well. If you've got some ideas, some things that you want to do, some things that you want to try, like, get out there and try it. Don't let like kind of fear or doubt, or putting yourself out there hold you back. Just do it. The first videos that I made here were pretty abysmal probably by today's standard 2 years later. And there's no way that I could have even like conceived of, I think, getting online and doing something like this, being live streaming, talking to folks and carrying it and all that. So, but yeah, a lot of things happen. A lot of things happen really quick when you just get out there, you get engaged, you do stuff, you try things, you learn, and keep it going. So Twism, I think that's a new name. Welcome. Just finished installing the Lumagen and a Kaleidoscape. Oh man, you got the whiz bang Wombo combo going there now. Hopefully that's sitting on an awesome projector. And yeah, you're at the Mecca. You're in the pinnacle space now of your video chain. That's awesome. That is awesome. Rob James, another longtime community member, supporter, all that. Seeing all these awesome names in the chat here. Happy anniversary. Thank you so much. Bodie McBoatface, another one. Congrats. Yeah, happy Father's Day. Thank you. Partial to this channel, fellow Michigander. Yep. Yeah, I wear the Michigan thing, the Midwest thing, kind of on my sleeve a little bit. I like it here. I'm proud of being from here. Born and lived here almost my entire life, minus just a few years. We'll talk about that when we get to kind of the journey roadmap elements. So yeah, I like to promote the Midwest, and there's a good community around here. I'm becoming more aware of let's say other creators that are out of the area, out of Michigan. We got like the Power Sound Audio guys and the Buckeye Amps guys not too far from here, making their home theater products. There's a great Michigan-based, I would say, AVS forum meetup community. So waiting to see where the next ones might come from. But in the last, probably say maybe 14 months, I've been to like 6 or so meetups, made friends around the area, folks driving, all over the state to jump into these things. And I'm finding more like channel community folks as well. Bodie, I'm not exactly sure if you're Southeast Michigan or you're farther away, but interesting story. I put up I've had actually the brackets, the wall brackets that I had my former heights on in the original theater build. I've had them up for sale on Facebook Marketplace, and no real biters, no real takers to buy them. So I just kept dropping the price down, and then just within the last week or so, I had it down to like $10. I'm like, somebody just take these things. They're sitting in a box here in the storage room. I just want to get rid of them. And wouldn't you know, somebody messages and says, hey, Techthusiasm, I'll take the brackets. So guy came over and, he lives just essentially a city, a town over from us here. And I didn't even charge him. I'm like, oh man, you're a channel member. Channel supporter, whatever, just have them, take the brackets, enjoy. If you can use them in your theater, they've been collecting dust on my shelf for over a year, so have them. But he came in and we gave him a theater demo, and we were hanging out, chatting and all that. And actually, I found there's another channel community member that lives actually right in my town. So we're gonna hang out actually on Tuesday, I think this coming Tuesday night. So yeah, I just love it. I love getting in, finding the folks and getting engaged and all of that. heading to the area. Visit. Wow, 97-year-old grandfather. Man, that's awesome. I hope I make 97. and all of us. Julius, yeah, might be the OG. Yeah, well, I don't know. You might be surprised. This hobby and the demo of the channel definitely skews a little bit older. I would say I'm probably right in the middle. Be it late-ish, well, closer to mid still, mid 40s, not upper 40s. Got to take it while I still can, right? But that's kind of like the center of the bell curve, I think, of the YouTube analytics of the channel. So there's a little bit, some folks on the younger side, and then there are, I think, still a pretty good amount of folks on the older side as well. Easy HT Tech, happy second year. Thank you. Perfect Dark. I think if you do these videos from inside your theater, sitting comfortably, eating some popcorn, your videos and channel explode. There was a period of time, a stretch in the history of the channel where I was actually filming sitting in there. My big challenge with that is like I didn't set up that good lighting for it, so the videos actually looked really bad. They were really grainy and all that. And I'm far from being like a video production cinematographer type person. I try to do what I can to grab the best quality video that I can with the skills that I have and I'm developing. But I definitely I need some lights. And then I was debating, it's like, well, if I buy like a lighting rig and then I bring it in here just to film, then I got to take it out to use the theater. So yeah, that's one of my goals, actually. One of my goals for the coming year on the channel is I don't think this is too bad. It's a little, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. At least I've got some cool boxes and logos and brands and stuff behind me here. And if I need to, I can always shoot over. I got my AV rack sitting here next to me. But one of my goals for the next year is to try to up the production, continue to up the production a bit more. And I would really like to get to a point where I'm just sitting in my office, actually. Michael Youthman just put out his video where he was talking about kind of his production space. And it's pretty sweet. I can't wait. I'd love to have something a little more defined, a better microphone setup, lighting setup, be able to sit, multiple monitors and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. Our house isn't very conducive to this whole thing. In the long run, it'll be no problem. But while we've still got rooms and areas dedicated to more kids' activities and kids' play, I kind of just take what I can get. And so being downstairs as well helps because our office is open, and if the family's home, yada yada yada. So we'll see. We will see where we end up there. Oh, super chat, EasyHT Tech, $10. Thank you so much. Birthday present for the channel. I really appreciate it. Super thank you. Michael in the house, awesome. We'll be seeing you very soon. At Audio Advice. Unfortunately, not M-Wave. I really wanted to make M-Wave this year, but we'll be kicking back by a lake not too far from M-Wave. We'll be in Southwest Kentucky, but not at that event. But so welcome. Thanks for coming out. So let's see. We'll get to the journey stuff in a minute. Just real quick, kind of what's been going on. I don't have them with me. I showed them off last time. They're sitting actually in the theater. I've got the 16:9 conversion panels for my screen. Basically, I had tried to order some thinner ones, so just like several inches to cover the dead space that I can't project on, and the order kind of got messed up. And I got the 16:9 panels. I'm going to just be able to keep them from what I understand. So that's pretty cool. And I've been playing with them. I made a video. That video should be coming out in the next week, kind of showing the difference in having no panels versus one panel versus two panels, and what the masking and stuff does. I would say that I definitely have been sleeping on masking. And I realized too, though, I haven't done the full setup of them. I almost threw it away, actually. I was talking with Dan. He's a Seymour dealer. I got the screen from him, so I got the panels from him. And he's like, "Did you get the magnets?" I'm like, "What magnets are you talking about?" So I went digging in the trash, actually, and found that they had taped to some of the foam packaging that I threw away. They had taped a handful of magnets. And so what actually really needs to happen for these panels is they don't just kind of like set in and go in by just tension. They're all magnetized. So I almost threw the magnets away. Glad I didn't fish those out of the trash, but I got to have Dan come over. We got to pull the screen down, get the magnets on the back of the frame in the right space, and then the panels will snap up and actually stay in, because I did have one fall down. The tension alone of them kind of just being pushed up into the screen didn't hold. So I got a cursory video on that, just on kind of pushing the panels up and showing that off. That's coming soon, but I'll be doing more on the masking panels. I'll talk about the full installation, the magnetized installation, and then really try to do some more with the impact of like having them versus not having them. I tried to capture some pictures as well, but to see if like, does the color get better? Does something shift? And it's tough photography for me. I'm far from a photography expert taking photos and stuff like that. And I think the shifting that I was getting out of the pictures wasn't necessarily as much due to the masking as the camera settings and so on. So I gotta mess around with that. Something else that I'm going to be doing here pretty quick, and I'll film it, is I did verify I've got about 1,100 hours on the projector bulb on my JVC NX7. And so this brand new bulb has been sitting down here for, I don't know, a number of years. I got it with the projector a few years back. And so I'm going to go ahead and make the bulb swap here pretty soon. So in conjunction with the masking panels, I want to take the projector down. I want to clean the dust filter. I was looking at the owner's manual to see how do you change the bulb in a projector or in that JVC projector. I've never done it. And realized, oh, there's actually a on the back there's a air filter, and they recommend cleaning the filter out every once in a while. So I'm going to pull the projector down. I'm going to clean the filter. I'm going to change the bulb and put the projector back up. It needs to be realigned. And now that I have the masking panels, I can align like perfectly, much better, like vertical alignment to the masking panels, get that all set up. And then, so that'll be coming content about that. And then hopefully into early July, I may, through a connection that reached out through the channel, may have a visitor coming to do some projector calibration. So with the new bulb and the new alignment, all that stuff set up, we'll be rocking in there. We've actually watched a few movies lately as well. I got my kids on the superhero kick, which is awesome. Love it. Been reading 1960s Spider-Man with my daughter. We just crossed over from the Ditko issues to the Ramita Senior issues. He actually, unfortunately, just passed away this week. So she's like, Dad, let's watch the Spider-Man movies. Let's watch Spider-Man movies. And my son's all into the Marvel Universe stuff as well. So we watched Spider-Man 2 and 3, the Raimi, was it Tobey Maguire? No, I forget if that's the right actor. The original early 2000s Spider-Man. So that was pretty fun. And we'll be moving on there. And then I got some bachelor time coming up next week. So again, hopefully getting together with some friends and a channel community member. Got John. We're going to watch John Wick 4, I think, Tuesday night here off the Kaleidoscape. Looking forward to that. So let's see a couple of comments, and then we'll get into the journey stuff. Ace 5, please. Saw a project yours. Wonder if you could help me with one. So just to toss out there, you know, if you've got some questions for the stream, go ahead and feel free to post them. If you'd like to reach out outside, feel free. And I've had very great experiences doing like independent calls, consulting calls with folks as well on the side. So a lot of opportunities to help folks. Go to jeremypowell.com. You can reach out to me there. Let's see. Now that happened to me when I got my Seymour screen. Yeah, and packaged the screen properly, threw mine away. Yeah, they were taped up, and I had it in my mind when I ripped the foam off and I threw it away. I didn't notice it, but like one had a bunch of tape on it, and then the other ones didn't, and it didn't occur to me to look at it closer. But yeah, we got it just in kind. So you almost threw your screen screws away. Yeah, that would be a bummer. So Michael said, yeah, I recently changed my JVC bulb. Yeah, super easy. A couple of screws, pop it out, pop it in. I probably don't even have to take the projector down to do it. But again, I think I'm going to take it down anyway, just to give it a nice dusting, clean that filter, and put it right back up with the chief mount. It makes it easy enough to do. So 1,100 hours, I think I'll benefit from the brightness of the replacement bulb for the remainder of the time. I'm expecting probably not to have that projector more than say 18 or so months. If JVC announces new models this fall into next year, I would like to make a projector upgrade if it works out and the channel's able to support it. So I figure I might as well, for the next time that I'm using it, I might as well benefit from the extra brightness of the bulb. The one that's coming out is still a working bulb, so I'll hang on to it just in case this one is faulty or something ever happens with it. I can revert back to the one, but it's only got 1,100 hours on it. But I'll happily take a little bit of extra brightness as well. Yeah, as Michael's saying, we watched Spider-Verse last night. Amazing. Yep. Yeah, we're going to do the same thing. I don't think we're going to make it to the show, to the commercial theater to see the new Spider-Verse. But wait for the Kaleidoscape. I think that one will come out in shorter order. Sony, I think, is pretty quick to get the digital content up, or the digital releases up, so that hopefully it should be watchable on the K. but we're surely going to watch the first rewatch the first Spider-Verse. It's been what, 3 or 4 years since that came out, and my kids were younger, they to the point where probably my son doesn't even really remember, I think, actually watching the movie. All right, so let's talk about it. My home theater journey. So I've got a bunch of pictures. I'll do a screen share in a minute. But as I mentioned, I'm in my mid 40s. I've always been. We were, I would say, kind of like a TV family. Growing up, like TV was on. I like watching shows with my dad in the evenings and stuff like that. Going to the movie theater was something that we always did. I was there for Star Wars and a bunch of these kind of like landmark films that came out when I was a kid. Not so much A New Hope, but I'm pretty sure Return of the Jedi was like the first movie that I actually saw in a commercial theater. One of the aunts that I'm close with, if I remember correctly, took me to see that. So I've always liked audio video. We always had for the times, for the 80s or whatever, a decent sized TV. My parents like music. We always had speakers and a receiver and a stereo kind of setup. So I was always into this stuff, computers and all of that a bit too, to the point where by the time I got to college, I was reading Stereophile and the magazines and getting, as we progressed through undergrad, looking forward to graduating and getting an engineering job and having some money in my pocket and able to buy some equipment and set up some systems and all that stuff. So, and I was ready to go, like aerial acoustics and like all these things that I wanted to have for my AV setups. And I was there in college too. That was around the years when like DVD first came to market. So I was there day one, buying amongst the first DVD players and collecting movies on disc. And we were watching movies on a 25-inch TV or whatever at the time, 30-inch something television, I think. And then we graduated. My wife and I got married. We were able to get into a really nice house. We actually built in a smaller model home in a smaller subdivision for our first house. And in the year 2000, I had my first real AV multi-channel surround system. And at this time, again, we were watching DVDs, like HD TV, broadcast HD TV was just kind of coming into the scene. And so a lot of stuff was changing at the time. Let me get a screen share up here, screen share. So it's going to be, I'm going to have to share the entire screen. Again, I'm on one laptop screen here. There we go. But I should be able to flip over here. Excuse me. I'm still nursing. I got to mute here for a second. I'm feeling so much better today, honestly, but I'm still nursing a little bit of this bronchitis, pneumonia, whatever has been ailing. So we built this house. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-story basement, nice yard, garage, all that. We didn't have a dedicated theater, but man, my wife, right from the beginning, want to talk about like support for the hobby. She okayed this plan. One of the reasons maybe we've been so happily married for 23 years, right? She okayed this plan to go with a projection system in our living room, right? Of all things. So in this house, we had a little kitchen nook area. We had an office, which was actually set up like an office. And then we had the living room. That was the whole, and a half bath. That was the whole main floor. Three okay sized bedrooms up top. But I wanted to go big. So you can see this picture right here, right? That I think that's a Sony that I had, that 25-inch TV down on the right. So we moved from a CRT 25-inch, regular standard old television to boom, 92 inches here, 92 inches that screen was. And I cycled a lot in this space. I don't think I have all the pictures, but in any case, this room was probably on the order of like 13 across, the throw distance to the screen, or wall to wall, from screen to projector. That distance is about 13 and maybe like 15 feet wide in the other distance. So here we go, 2000, 12/29/2000. Happy New Year, at 12:48 a.m. So we were working into the late end of the night to set this room up. But you can see, man, I just had just enough vertical space here to cover that screen, 92-inch 16:9 screen. Again, in the living room above the fireplace. That's me on the left, looking quite 23 years younger. In a close high school friend of mine there. The couple of my friends, we set the stuff all up together. B&W CDMNT series speakers. There's a 5.1 setup, and I really like those speakers. I did one subwoofer, this little box here, B&W, just stuck on brand at the time. Yeah, we're rocking, this is back PS2 gaming era and all that. So yeah, we got this screen set up here. Now I have to admit, like in some ways, this whole setup was kind of ill-advised because, man, the projector in the living room back then with the brightness of these things, and looking left from this perspective is north. So you know, we're up here in Michigan. Over to the right, we had big windows on the south side of the house, a lot of light coming through there. Really hard to use this thing during the day. I spent a lot of years, we were in this house for about 7 or so years, and I spent a lot of that time fighting, you know, really not even being able to use the system much, except for the evenings. But you know, whatever, we didn't have kids in these years and we were working all day long. So it was mostly the evenings when we would use the system anyway. Pretty sure that's a daylight screen. You know, fixed frame and a snap-in style material. There you go, Sony, the 10HT VPL VW 10HT, I think is that model. That was like the first 1080p widescreen projector, right, for kind of regular home use. I don't remember the price tag, honestly. I want to say that projector is probably on the order of like several thousand, maybe 6 or 7,000. I don't think it would have been much more than that in order to be able to afford it at the time. But yeah, I mean, that was it. That was like the start, I think a lot of the home theater journey for a lot of folks. And I upgraded projectors quite a bit in these years as well. I think in these 7 years, I had 3 or 4 different projectors because every other year or so, they were turning out new models. I had a Sanyo Z2 in there, and then I ended up with another Sony in the end, a 50 VW 50 model. I don't remember all the models and stuff, but that was the first one. We're talking component video, right? All analog connections and stuff. So we mounted this thing. So basically right above the couch there is where we were sitting. You know, all these mistakes I made, right? If I could go back with the AV knowledge I have today, and kind of optimize or whatever. But so, and there was a closet in the foyer there right behind me. We'll get to a picture of that where all the equipment was. So we're getting the projector, the ceiling mount set up, getting everything, you know, screwed in a line there. Man, we look so young. So yeah, here we go. So here's the closet, right? So you can see the projector in the upper left hand, those yellow cables, tributary silver cables. And I'll come back to comments in a second. I can't really see the comments while I'm talking. I'll jump back and forth a little bit because again, I'm on a single screen here. But I think I told this story on the channel before, but I was really drawn to like wanting those tributaries, like, oh yeah, high-end cables. Like I wanted high-end cables. I didn't really know any better, but hey, they were there. At least they were analog. It wasn't HDMI in this era yet. So I wanted these tributary silver cables, and they were relatively expensive, you know, a few $100 or whatever at the time, I think, for a long enough run of component video. And to get up to that projector from inside the closet, we just punched through the wall right there. And I remember my wife like kind of challenging me at the time. It's like, you really need to spend the money on like that part of the system, whatever. So the friend of ours and her, my wife, we took, I think at the time, like a DVD player or something, and we put it on that 25-inch CRT TV, the Sony that was sitting there. And we hooked it up via the tributary silver cables, and they blind tested me. We used like the whatever regular cables came in the box with the DVD player and the tributaries cables. And we did a bunch of blind tests to say, okay, they hooked stuff up and they played some video, and I had to try to say which one I liked. And I didn't like the tributaries. I consistently was picking the other one. So I don't know. But hey, I bought the tributaries anyway. So I don't know if they bamboozled me. I don't think they did. But yeah, I couldn't tell the difference in cables back then, but I still bought them anyway. So surrounds had, this was a 5.1 setup, you know, 2 surrounds hanging up on the sidewall, unfinished basement, made it really easy to kind of punch down through the walls and get the cable over and then up through the floor into that closet. There's the CDM SNT, the surround speaker. It's not too high. Maybe it was too high, but back then with 5.1, it used to be like, oh, put your surround speaker, you know, 3 feet above your seated listening distance. So there's my wife. She's um, she's cutting off some speaker cable. So here's the first cut of the rack. So again, this girl, man, she let me take the foyer coat closet of our home and turn half of it into an AV cabinet. Love her. So whatever this is, like some solder AV rack. We got like a Pioneer receiver going on here. Probably a Sony, I think, DVD player. TiVo. I've always been a TiVo user. I think this big silver box down below is like a direct TV TiVo unit, and then maybe like a Panamax or something on the bottom there. I'm not sure why. This is definitely the receiver, and one of these is a Blu-ray player. I'm not sure why we have two boxes. What the other one would have been. That's definitely, I think, the TiVo, and then the Panamax down below. So yeah, she's cutting speaker wire. Maybe we get a better look here. Sony. You know what? That might be a VHS player. Back in 2000, we might have. Yeah, I think we might have still had a VHS player in the setup back then. Game consoles got in here as well. There we are. A couple of our little cats playing some games. So this is after there's the subwoofer. Hey, at least I knew to put the subwoofer in the corner. So yeah, that's the front left corner. And we painted this room gray. Oh man, she let me do this too. I can't even believe it. Looking back at this, like what was I thinking, and what was she okay? And we didn't even use the fireplace because we put the center channel on that table. So we only ever just did candles in the fireplace, which was still pretty nice ambiance. It didn't heat things up or melt the screen in any of that stuff. So there you go. Speakers, didn't have them towed in at all. Center channel sitting on that table. And this little thing here to the right of the screen, that's an IR receiver. Everything back then was IR really for control. I think I had like a Philips Pronto. Yeah, here it is on the table. Philips Pronto remote, doing some probably like Windows, whatever, Windows 95, 98 programming with the Philips Pronto. But the IR receiver here took the signal back to the closet with some repeater kind of blasters in there. And then, yeah, again, she okayed painting this room this like charcoaly gray. Man, our design sense at the time. So there we go. Projector installed, nice and clean. Wire punch through right behind it. Now as hidden as you can get. Oh, this is a little later now. These pictures are a bit of a jumble. I was trying to grab them. So there's a Yamaha. So I had a Sony, a Yamaha, a Sanyo, and another Sony. 4 projectors. As they kept jumping around at the time, and companies were like leapfrogging each other. I don't remember what model Yamaha that is. I'll come back to the comments in just a second. A couple more pictures. So this is with the Yamaha. There you go. Shelves of DVDs, games. And I see N64 games. I had all the consoles at this time as well. Another shot, kind of the same one. There's that closet door, closed up. So I think there was a lot of really nice virtues to this system at the time. Another shelf of movies. I think some VHSs on that far left shelf. So this was the second evolution here. Actually bought a little bit more of an AV style rack. I think I needed more shelves. So bottom to top, we got a Panamax power conditioner there. That's a Pioneer. I was all Pioneer Elite. I think at the time, Pioneer had a deal with Ford Motor Company, because they provided car audio, and you could buy Pioneer equipment cheap. And I had connections, friends, family, whatever, that worked at Ford. So I was able to buy Pioneer gear through like an OEM purchase thing at a really nice discount. So I was a Pioneer Elite user for quite a while, until they basically checked out, and then switched over to Denon. Another TiVo, always the TiVo. So super TiVo fan. DVD player, PlayStation 2, Xbox 360, Dreamcast, and a GameCube. All those consoles. Yep. Oh, and then this has got some of my custom arcade stick. We'll talk a little bit about that if we've got some time. There's a little Ethernet switch in there as well. The router, I think, was back in our office, but I as much as I could, of course, always wired Ethernet. I knew to do that. And a shoe rack, or a hanging shoe rack of all things, to hold the video game controllers. That worked really well. You get 2 controllers in one side. Oh, nice rack view. Yeah, Panamax, Pioneer. Yep, DirecTV, TiVo. We used that for a long time. Sony player. I don't remember what model Blu-ray player that was. can see all these little things in the consoles as well. These are wireless controllers. At the time, most of the controllers were wired, and I had some extensions if I had to use them to sit on the couch and be able to wrap around in. But I bought some third party at the time. I don't really like them much today, but some third party accessories to be able to use wireless controllers to keep the closet closed up and all that. So yeah, it's a lot of wires here because, again, everything's like component video. And then here we go. Let's see what kind of media we got. This is all games. Yeah, Xbox 360, Genesis. Oh, CDs. Yep, CDs. So in the earliest view, there might have been, I don't know why I would have had it, but we might have had a CD player and a DVD player separately. Let me jump up to what these final pictures. So when we moved out, this was the final setup. So I didn't take the center channel out. This was, I think we were staging to sell the house. Yep. We were moving, and just for the presentation of it, we took the center channel out, but using the system all those years, we had the center channel in there. So that was the change of the projector setup. I went from the ceiling mount to a shelf. Always like shelves. I don't remember the brand or model of this shelf, but it was made for some kind of AV gear. That's the other Sony, the final Sony that I had. The I'm pretty sure it's like a VW50 style model. Excellent projector. And I think by this point we were into HDMI as well. So no more yellow component videos punching through there, just power in an HDMI cable. So yeah, surround speakers still there, subwoofer in the corner. I use this stuff for a long time. So that was it. That was the first foray into the hobby. Let's go through some comments. And then I'll talk about kind of our second iteration and some of the stories that go along with there. Just going back through the comments. Michael comment, yeah, Kitescape is nice. Yep, much faster. Waiting for the movies to come. So the Spider-Verse. Let's see. Joey Greer question: when I mounted my in-wall speakers, I had a stud in the way on the left side, so I had to move it. I had already mounted. Oh, the right side. So they're off a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know. In some ways, I would. This is the kind of stuff that I try to be pragmatic about, and I don't sweat too badly. You know, we all have challenges in our spaces, and I had the same thing when I put my speakers, my in walls into the room. I went into the studs, into the drywall, no false walls or anything like that. And yeah, you know, I might have preferred to have things shifted over here. My left front and my right front are not exactly completely symmetrically the same distance from the sidewalls because they had to fit the stud channels. If we're talking about a matter of inches, to me, I wouldn't sweat it. I wouldn't sweat it. Perfect Dark. Yeah, it was in 4th grade. All right, making me feel old here. Yeah, so a little more conversation about this. Left side is forward seating position by 1.5 inches. You kind of just got to, I think you kind of have to stick with it. Fred. Yeah, thanks. Welcome, Fred. He's got a bunch of stuff going on. All right. So no real questions. If anybody has questions about that first setup, feel free to post them. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of roll forward and we'll talk about my second, my real home theater. So that was real home theater 1.0. And then things changed. Things changed quite a bit from the first system to the second system that we had. So that house, that projection setup, again, that was from about 2000 to about 2007. Multiple projectors. The speakers always stayed. I think I upgraded receivers once or twice, particularly to get from component video to HDMI. When HDMI first came along, that was one of the main upgrades there. Of course, we had console generations hitting in there. We were right on the cusp of transitioning from like the PlayStation 2, or actually no, into the PlayStation 3. So I think we spent the whole PlayStation 3. No, that was PS5. We were transitioning into the PS3 and the next Xbox generations at the time. And DVD was there. Blu-ray was starting to come in right at the tail end of that. I upgraded those projections. I did upgrade those screens a couple times. That was an important one because that'll factor in part of the story for the second step. But the screen, I had a View, I think it was a ViewTech Silver Star or something like that, like a silver screen, again, trying to combat the ambient light. And so the last screen that I had in that space wasn't a frame and a stretchable screen. It was a full-on, complete, crated, fixed panel. and we took that thing cross country with us when we went. So let me get this next one set up. This is, all right, yeah. Let me get the screen share back up. I don't want that one. Let's go with this one. All right. So job opportunity came along. We sold our house and we relocated, went out east. And out east, the price of housing is not quite the same as Michigan. So we rented. We moved from a 1,650 square foot house, 2-story with a basement and a garage, to about 1,000 square foot little townhouse with no garage, a little plot, patio, backyard, and a crawl space instead of a basement. 2-bedroom, I think, instead of 3-bedroom. And so I took all that gear with us. We crated up that screen, all the speakers. We took it all with us. We shedded a lot of stuff when we moved, but we took all the audio video stuff with us. And then we landed in this little townhouse. And there's no way that this projection setup was going to stay in this space. So I sold it. We carted the screen out, and then I sold it. And I sold the projector. Oh, I got taken. One of the worst scams I've ever had perpetrated on me, selling something like that. I sold that projector on eBay. It ended up shipping overseas. The people never claimed they got it. All of this stuff going through eBay. And long story short, eBay sided with the seller, and I ended up giving my projector away. Had the payment taken back out of my account. And I didn't use eBay for a long time after this. They protected a scam buyer, and I got burned. But so we needed a new display. No projectors going in here. So this is a Samsung 57-inch 1NT. I forget that. I forget the model number on this, but we're talking, this was 2007, late 2007. And this was the first, I think, fully backlit, like full array, local dimming backlit television. 57-inch TV, 2007. This TV was like $6,000, I think. As big as they got, and about, as good as they got in terms of picture quality at the time. I paid less for my 83-inch G2 LG than I paid for this TV back then. But we were able to keep some of the stuff. At least I kept the audio, get the same rack going on there in the corner. As you can see, kept the speakers. Again, I was even able to get the surrounds, I think, set up in this space. The subwoofer is actually like behind the tower on the right. And excuse me, not a lot of options for that center. So this was my first foray in a center channel being up above a screen. Notice the kind of angular angle down there. Put the center channel on the same shelf that the projector was on back when it was at the house in Michigan. So again, this is a transplant. Same gear here: Panamax, Pioneer, TiVo, Blu-ray. Actually, now we were getting into Blu-ray. We got a PlayStation 3 going on there, Xbox 360, and all that stuff. Nintendo Wii, I think, up top there. So this was a nice, cozy little spot. We got some new furniture, this like L-shaped couch, and we had a good time with this system. Yeah, there we go. Black. Is that I think Xbox 2 Xbox 360s. Man, I don't even remember what I was doing there with those. Maybe there was like an elite or a special version, and I hadn't sold the other one yet. Obviously, a couple of little changes going on here from picture to picture. But yeah, I remember that PlayStation 3. Oh, and I remember this too. My first PS3, I bought the backwards compatible one, whatever that was, like $700. It got stolen in our moved. The mover guys, all the stuff went into the truck when we left our house in Michigan, and all of my gaming hardware was not in the bins when we opened them back up when we landed out east. That was very disappointing, to say the least. And we broke a bunch of stuff in this move. Not the best experience. But so from 92-inch to 57-inch, but at least we were sitting pretty close here, probably like less than 10-foot viewing distance, and all that. But man, I really like. Oh, still got the same remote there. I think that's the Philips, not the Pronto. I don't remember the name of this remote control, honestly. Didn't even have an office in this house. A little 2-bedroom, so we had the office, our desk in the back. But yeah, so we used this system for a couple of years. We were in this place, I think 2 years, 2.5-ish years, and then we moved over to another another rental, slightly bigger and stuff. But I remember this setup very fondly. And, as much as sometimes you might not have the space to do a dedicated home theater and all that, like, this hobby scales, and it scales to fit your needs in your season and at your moment in time, in the space that you have. And we had a good time with this. I'm sure I played many a AAA video game, and we watched no shortage of movies and really enjoyed it on this little condensed version of our prior system. Just come back over to the comments. Let's see. Michael Lawless, have you ever? Oh yeah, I got this coming up. Windows Media Center. I've got some stuff I can show about that. Yes, in my next stage, in my next season, I definitely spent some time building HTPCs and getting into Windows Media Center for the first time. Yeah, perfect. That sucks. Yeah, that's based on the scam out of the projector. Yeah, I should have never shipped that thing. If something seems fuzzy to you in a deal, it's probably because something isn't going to come out right. So, all right. So a couple years into our East Coast endeavor, we decided, I think we got off of a promo on our rent at the time, and the place that we were renting was getting more expensive. So we went looking for something a little cheaper, moved a town over, got a little more space as well. Little did we know that as we were setting up this space and we moved, and my wife made the comment that she wasn't feeling so great. That was preggers. So that was our daughter growing away in there. So we had a little more space in this townhouse. This was a 3-bedroom, not a whole lot more square footage, and really just, again, like a kitchen, and a living room, a half bath. Upstairs there were 3 bedrooms, so we put the office upstairs. But I did scale this up a little bit. So carried the same speakers over here, the same B&Ws. I used these B&Ws for a long time. I got a lot of mileage out of these speakers. Same subwoofer there on the bottom left. Same television, of course. We used that TV the entirety of the years that we were out here. But we upgraded the cabinet. So in the other house, that TV was wall mounted in that like brick fireplace. I got to do a quick mute. So that TV, again, it was wall mounted in the above that fireplace. Didn't have the ability to wall mount here in the setup, so we bought this, which I believe was a Salamander or similar equitable type of cabinet, AV style cabinet. I think I've got some interior pictures coming up. So same couch, same setup, same 5.1 audio system with the cabinet. There's the surrounds, got the surrounds up on the walls. Again, still a couple feet above ear level for this kind of classic 5.1 audio setup, but it worked out good. We had to, it wasn't like drilling and running stuff in walls and all of that here. This house did have a basement, but it's a rental, it's temporary. So you can see it. I didn't drill or cut. We kind of just ran the speaker wire under the couch and then along the other wall where you couldn't see it. So here's the inside of the cabinet. And there you go, Michael. That's one of my first home theater PCs. That thing did, I had that thing doing everything. Windows Media Center. I could play games. I could play emulators. By this point in time, I was already pretty well versed on the idea of ripping. Shortly after we set the last place up, I had learned that I could use my computer to like rip DVDs and play them over the network to like the PlayStation 3 had its like network media player. And so that set me off on really diving into that stuff. So this thing had a whole bunch of hard drives in it. It had rips. I had digital comics, able to read them on the screen. Windows Media Center like let us do so much stuff, and I'll hopefully have some time here to get to some elements of that. Pioneer Elite, again, still using the Pioneers. I think it wasn't too long before Pioneer as a brand making the receivers and stuff bowed out, and then I found my way over to Denon. There's the center channel. APC had a power conditioner, UPS running the system. Center channel speaker, fit in there, all nice, wired up, wire bundles and all that. Still rocking the TiVo, cable card TiVo, I think here, not satellite. And then the same game consoles here. That's Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. So yeah, pretty much had the whole gamut of stuff rolling in there. There's the wireless keyboard. This is I think a Logitech with a little like trackpad thumb thing for controlling the HTPC on the screen. And yeah, so not a lot of pictures here, but fundamentally it was pretty much the same setup, you know, minus the wall mount plus the cabinet and so on. But this system, this TV, and continuing with this audio setup, you know, served my home theater uh, needs and interests for better part of 5 years before we decided to come back to Southeast Michigan here, and we built the house. Of course, built the house that we're in at the moment. I like the system. You know, I wouldn't say that I missed the immersiveness of the larger screen, but you know, after a while, I got used to. I definitely got used to the setup kind of as it was. As it was. So a couple comments. Michael saying, "Yeah, used for 10 years, ripping DVDs, lossless audio." Yep. I had CDs in there as well. Yeah, the Windows Media Center didn't sustain itself. Yep, upgrading TiVo drives. Yep, I did that for sure. Definitely. Yeah, I really like TiVo. TiVo, I think TiVo missed out. TiVo could have been right now so much more than TiVo could have been so much more than it ended up becoming. They missed the ball. Like they needed to be Roku, essentially. If TiVo could have maintained cable while transitioning into being a Roku and having good streaming apps and all that stuff, I think they would have had a different fate. So we built our house here, and this was new construction. It was custom architected, all this stuff. And I talked myself out of the theater. I don't have a lot of pictures of this one, but long story short, I had the opportunity. We could have designed a theater room in. It would have been busting budgets that went to other things in the house build. I talked myself out of it. I had just come off of 5 years. Actually, we lived in a little rental when we first came back to Michigan. I think we did 18 months or so in another little townhouse. I didn't even set up the speakers in there. We knew that one was transitional. We jumped right into putting this house together. I sold everything off. I sold the speakers. We just had the television, the same 57-inch TV, and the TV audio. We got by with it for a year and a half. And after whatever that had been now, several years, I think, 7 years of using a living room AV system and just getting used to it, I talked myself out of a dedicated theater. And we tried to shoehorn everything essentially into our living room. So this is what we ended up with. This is the bump out. It's the same bump out. We built it from the very beginning of the house. But this is, I think, an 80-inch Vizio 1080p television circa, or actually, this is a little bit later. But in 2013, we started with an 80-inch Vizio M series or P series. Might have been an M series at the time, actually. 1080p TV and triads. This is all triad speakers. I still have the same triad bronze subs in the same spot, but 3 triad silvers. And we put the surround speakers up in the ceiling around the couch. Now there's 8 speakers in this photo. This is from 2016 after another upgrade. From 2013 to about 2016, I had the 80-inch Vizio 1080p, 7.1 audio running in here. Marantz processor, like an AV77 series processor. Again, I don't have a lot of good pictures, unfortunately. Emotiva amps at the time as well, running that stuff. And then Atmos came along, 4K came along, HDR came along. And so in 2016, I did my next kind of upgrade to this, where against Dan's better judgment, probably Dan should have like pushed me up against the wall and slapped me across the face. It's like, what, you know, why are you insisting that we do the system this way? But I insisted, and this is what I wanted. So we put Atmos speakers in here, right on top of, or right adjacent to these surround speakers. So this is a right surround, a left surround, and then a rear surrounds. And these were the Atmos locations. You know, I upgraded this stuff. I upgraded to an Atmos level preamp, the AV77. I went from the 02 to the 04 and added another amplifier to be able to amplify the extra 4 channels. We went down from an 80-inch 1080p to a 75-inch 4K. This was like some of the stupidest home theater AV money I probably have ever spent. To the point where I was so dissatisfied with the overall performance of the system that that's what ultimately led me to wanting to build the room that we did build, the dedicated room. So as we started to build the dedicated room, I wanted to take this stuff out so that I could sell it to help fund the dedicated room. And so we went through a couple iterations of this. One where we actually, sorry, I'm kind of looking for the right photos. I don't have enough photos, but we actually had this whole all these speakers taken out. You can see this was all drywalled up and painted. We actually had everything, every one of these speakers taken out, drywalled up and painted. And we had a sound bar. I think it's actually, you can see the sound bar sitting there because this is when I was in the process of taking it out. I'm like, now we'll have a dedicated theater. We'll just have the TV in the living room. We'll put a sound bar underneath it. It fits nice and easy. And I was never satisfied with the sound of that sound bar. Despite putting effort into the dedicated room, I still wanted more of an experience with the living room. So, and I never sold the subwoofers. Nobody ever bought the subwoofers. I didn't drop the price low enough, or I never found a buyer. So I was still sitting on those. And I sold all the surround speakers from the ceiling. That was no problem. But I had sold one pair of these Triad silvers and I had one left. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to put this stuff back in. So I bought a used Triad silver off of eBay to match the one that I had remaining. I still had the subs. I bought a little like Denon X1600H or something receiver, and it says, screw it. We're going to go 2.2 audio. This will be way better than the soundbar. We don't need surround sound. And so that's where I kind of got planted the seed and have grown what I still do in the living room today, which is, again, this 2.2 audio, Phantom Center, nice big TV and all that. I think it works great. This is with the Triads. But of course, now we don't have the Triads in the space. We have the Focals. The Focal, we'll go with this picture, the IWLCR6s. So there's quite a few years, actually, we did the 2.2 with the Triad and then did the theater room. A couple years later, redid the theater room with the Focals and then replaced those Triads with the Focals, and have since, of course, stepped the living room up to the Anthem STR level and all that. So I'm really enamored with the way the living room performs today. But the evolution was the living room was our full multi-channel surround sound theater. And of course, it didn't stay that way. Didn't stay that way very long. So let's talk about the theater, the original theater build. So these pictures are from 2018. I always forget exactly when I decided or when we started work on building the dedicated home theater, but it was the latter half of 2018. So from 2013 to 2016, living room AV system only, 7.1, 1080p TV. From 2016 to about 2019, 7.2. So then 16 to about 19, 7.2.4 audio with separates and a 4K HDR TV and all that Vizio P series. And then we started work on the theater. So this room was never intended to be a theater again. Excuse me. Never intended to be a theater. It was built like the rest of our house in the basement, and it was going to be a gym. So that was the original look into that room there. We put these big mirrors up on the wall. We had the big glass block window for some natural light, and I was going to put gym equipment in here. We were going to use this as a workout room, and we should be able to see it. There it is. That same. Oh, I think I might have said that was a Sony TV a while back. Sorry if I did. That's wrong. It's a Samsung. Samsung was the first full array local dim flat panel. We had a ceiling fan in there to blow some air around while we were working out. Again, had the flat panel in there, hooked up with video signal, kind of switching from the room across, so we'd be able to pull up stuff. This would have been awesome. This would have been a really, really great workout room. And we never outfitted it. So from 2013 up until this point, you can see what was in here. It was empty. The kids didn't even play in there because they had a playroom outside of this. And we put extra stuff in here. It was storage rollover. And I was getting disappointed with the setup of the living room. I wanted to do a little bit more with the hobby and all that. And I finally got the go ahead with my wife to say, just go use that room and do something with that room. Again, she's something else when it comes to this whole thing. Glass panels on the door, not the best for a theater room, right? We got that closet on the back wall. So the process began, and we started with ripping down those mirrors. Another another family came over and helped me. We got some like crowbars, and thankfully nobody got hurt, nobody got cut. But yeah, we got those mirrors down, tore the walls up, tore the drywall up. And again, one of my design sentiments here was that I didn't want to tear into stuff to set up the theater. I didn't want to be doing drywall replacement. I wasn't taking trim down. I wasn't taking flooring out. I wanted to work within the confines of the four walls. You can see a couple of other things actually about the theater room that I think are kind of interesting in some of these photos as well. This is the wall that the screen is on, just for reference. Of course, you come in my room through these doors. To the left is the screen, to the right is the couch. You can see, though, we've got a soffit up here. We've got like this little jog in the wall, a couple of things going on there that get hidden by the curtains and some of the other aspects of the room. But this is the wall that the screen ended up on. Again, patching up all these holes. This was like those mirrors were basically glued up to the drywall with a little track and some other things. So a ton of drywall work in here, patching, sanding over and over again. And it's not great. If you look at the right spot of the black paint in the room right now, you can still see some of these specific locations, showing up in that. I'm trying to pick up the pace a little bit here. We did have some room audio in here, some triad zone audio and stuff. So here we go. We're all drywall patched, taping everything up. And so begins the painting endeavor. Sherwin-Williams, tricorn black, flat, painting over that all around the trims and cutting in and all that stuff first. Here we are. This is me. I pretty much did this. I think I did all this stuff solo. Painting the ceiling, all black. I actually fell off the ladder one time. I was leaning over a little too much to reach a spot. Top of this, whatever chest high ladder, man, thing just tilted. I had paint tray in my hand and I just slammed down to the floor, paying the iron price for home theater. So more paint, black ceiling, painting that soffit in the back, the sidewall. So there's a better view looking out. I had to come up with a solution for those glass panels because I wasn't replacing the doors. Get to that in a second. Yeah, here we go. Black, all that. So paint job looks pretty good from these photos, right? Of course, there's no acoustical panels, real clean. Couple of coats, and it took real nice. I decided I didn't want to paint the trim. It would have been more work and effort. It was not latex paint, but a different type of paint, and I would have had to like really do a lot more to paint the trim. So I think the white trim still looks good in the room. There's the hole that I cut through on the front wall down below the screen to get all of my speaker wire and HDMI to the projector and Ethernet and things that need to get into the room. So thankfully it worked out. This was my first attempt at building a projector shelf. So not the nicest thing to look at, and it certainly did not work. It didn't hold weight at all. My first projector, JVC RS540. This was prior to the NX7. Didn't have this in there very long before the NX7 came out, but that was the first projector. So here's an interesting little picture combo. I'll jump back and forth between these. I was trying to decide what size screen do we want in here. 150-inch 16:9 or 135-inch 16:9. And this is one of the few times in life where I actually went with the smaller screen. And I think it was the better choice overall. This was really tall. 150 inches 16:9 was a lot of image in this space, and it would have actually pushed the speakers a little too far out to the sidewalls and so on. So we did go a little smaller there on the 135, starting to get the equipment coming in. There's the original Focals, the Electra 1038 BEs in the center that goes with them. My original subwoofers, Rels, yep, S5 SHO dual subwoofers, cutting some holes. Okay, so here's where I think I did some really novel stuff in the room, right? The curtains. I took this 2x4 lumber, and the lumber's on the wall. The curtains are on the lumber, making the curtains hang off the wall a little bit so I could run all my channels and run all my wires. The longer ones are for the screen. I think we'll see that in a second. Patched back up after running. So there's the screen. Screen tracks are mounted on this lumber, gives it that floating effect. The screen is hanging off the wall a little bit, and the curtains just lay nicely behind the screen. At this point, I had already planned on the whole curtain methodology and was kind of building around it. So you can see, again, running this wood here where the curtain skirts were going to go, so I could get wire, speaker wire and all that along the wall and then up to the projector and around. There's the original speakers, Focal 906s, another non-favorite of Mr. Aaron's Audio Corner recently here. But I did a mix of the Focal Electras and then 4 pairs of these 906 bookshelves. These were my heights. They were on these mounts. These are the mounts that I just gave away. There's this original screen frame mounted up. There's the 2 heights above it, the speaker brackets. Got this all nice and set up so the curtains could kind of obscure everything around it. Back wall, height brackets, ready to go. So this was my first attempt at running the wire under the what would be under the curtain skirts, was these little hooks, and this didn't work at all. This was a terrible idea. So I abandoned this one pretty quickly for the stick-on clip channel that I got from Home Depot. Of course, the carpet going in, this was Mohawk, I think is the name of the carpet brand. Wanted to go for like a cleaner, like no VOC type carpet. Didn't go black, and we went for the gray. It's darker gray in the room than it looks in this picture. I think this makes it look a lot lighter than it actually is, but some nice thick pad. And I think I'm coming to the realization that I kind of lucked out, not by design, but being in a basement and having a cement slab, but maintaining the wood flooring between the cement slab and the carpet really, I think, really helps the base. I want to learn some more, maybe talk with some folks about kind of the specific acoustic elements of that, because I think that's really where the tactileness comes from. There's playing around with the speakers, experimenting. I love these towers. I really, really like these towers so much. I just thought they were fantastic. The most premium set of speakers that I had certainly ever owned at this point, and just orders of magnitude echelon above the B&Ws that I was using before. Up on the screen there, that's the Oppo 203. Accessing a network folder of course, ripped MKVs. That's what I was doing at the time. Big old NAS server, setting all that stuff up. This is all pre-Kaleidoscape. Let's see, got the couch in there. IKEA Kivik. I know folks usually ask about that. IKEA Kivik sectional, still rocking that, of course. There's a little bit more of the array. So these REL subwoofers, I co-located them with the left and the right speakers, because that's kind of what REL recommends and was recommended to me from the stereo shop, audio shop I bought from. You got the special high level, low level connections and all that stuff. That's how I kind of was running the audio to begin with. Again, just moving along, got that JVC up on that shelf. And then here's the channel. So this is what it looks like underneath the curtains, right? These multiple sections that I cut of these plastic clip channels. Got two of them running through the front wall, and then one there around the side wall. Runs all the speaker wire, HDMI, Ethernet, and so on. To the XLR cable now to the subwoofer that's in the back. Had the stand, center channel on that little angled stand down under the screen. Stands for the side surround. So again, just playing around here with positioning, getting stuff in, getting wires in, more of these speaker wire channels, the white. This is all hidden by the curtains. I really look probably pretty more fondly back on this room setup. This room setup was fantastic. I would definitely take the scope screen, architectural behind the screen and all that stuff, but man, I learned a lot too. I definitely learned a lot. So getting wires up to the heights here, painted these ones black because you could see a little bit of them come out behind the curtains. And so here I made the switch, right? No more shelf. The shelf wasn't cutting it. Shelf was digging down. My carpentry skills were not up to task. So we went with the ceiling mount. Okay, here we go. Got the glass panels covered up on the door with just some like static kind of Klingon vinyl. Black covering that worked great for that. Blacked all that stuff out. And we'll jump through a little bit more of these kind of quicker. get to the, there's more and more locking everything in. Speakers wired in. And then here's curtains. So at my first pass, I thought we would make the curtains. My wife is handy, sewing machine, crafting, and all that stuff. But we started on this endeavor, and it's like, oh man, we do not have the time to do this. So we ended up just hiring that out to a local seamstress. There's the NX7, NX7 on the left, 540 on the right. Pretty significant girth, size, and weight difference between these. Look at that. And that's only the 7, not even the 9. So there's the big one, the new one. This is what I'm still rocking in there now. What is this picture from? 2019, April of 2019. So 4 years. We're on 4+ full years of the JVC NX7. I'm still on the original bulb, so time to change that out. So here's the curtains. Again, I contracted out to a local seamstress. She made like window curtains and stuff like that. She came over. We talked about the project. She recommended a material and the pleating and the sewing and all that. And so, yeah, all these curtains kind of wrap all around the room, on the front wall, down the sides. Took a little while later. So this is June of 2019. We started this project in like mid to late 2018. And it was mid 2019, really, I would say, before it was quote unquote done. And we had all the acoustic panels in there and kind of fully rocking with the NX7 and all that. So want to know how long it takes to do a room, nuts to bolts, start to finish? It took me about a year for this level of work and this activity. We added the pillows, we had the blankets made. My aunt built those, the bean bags, picked those up at Target, and was quite happy with this room. We used this room for, so yeah, it was at mid 2019 until essentially early beginning of 2022. So three-ish years. We used this space. Got the Neos in there, Control 4 stuff, of course. Had an iPad mini in there for a little while as well. Never really took to actually using the iPad mini too much. See a little bit of dust accumulating in this photo. I had to dust those speakers. Added this Honeywell, this Honeywell air purifier. It's kind of tucked behind the couch. It's still in the room. I run it every once in a while. When we're done using the room, I'll put it on a few hour cycle, let it run, just because it's always a closed door, closed up room. Oh, there we go. This is Kaleidoscape. So what is this? May 2021. It was a little while before this, I think, that I got my first Kaleidoscape setup, started transitioning away from doing the rip content to the K. Again, really love these speakers. Curtains, better pictures. We added this a little bit later. This was like a Father's Day gift or Christmas gift. They have the couch table back there, some extra storage. That's been useful. Yeah, and that was it. That was home theater. I talk about home theater 2.0. This was home theater 1.0 for this setup. I'm gonna jump back through some comments. Let's see. Going back a little bit to the TiVo. TiVo started commercial skipping. Yeah. They had such an opportunity to win the market. Did you notice any positional difference with center channel that high? Yes, I didn't. I didn't like it. It was actually recommended to me not by Dan, but by like calling Triad, talking to some speaker companies, and that was the setup that they recommended. Put the speakers, rather even than having the center up high and the left and the rights flanking the TV, they're like, no, put them all up there, angle them forward, and you'll be looking great. Well, what did I effectively have? I didn't have an LCR. I had heights, and I didn't like it at all. That was one of the reasons I wanted to change stuff out. Julius, how'd you like the Triads? I thought the Triads were awesome. Triads is a great brand, unsung hero of like architectural and integrated AV, and a rightful recommendation by a lot of dealers and installers. I think they make really great stuff, and they make it very customizable to fit in to all kinds of different setups. Let's see. Michael asking, do you still have the hardwood floors? Presume you mean in the theater. Yes, so again, we didn't take the hardwood floor out of the theater. We put the carpet on the hardwood. So there's concrete subfloor, rubber underlayment, floating hardwood, thick pad, and then carpet. And that's what's in the theater room right now. And honestly, I think that really helps audio of the space quite a lot, because that floating wood floor can move. And I think that's what really brings the tactile effect of the front subwoofers shaking the couch and giving it like a transducer-ish effect, is the fact that that wood floor, excuse me, that wood floor can carry that vibration through. Because I was talking to other folks as well here and there that have basement home theaters, and they just have they have concrete, or they've got like carpet on concrete, and they feel that their bass isn't the same. Like it's not as strong or whatever, because that concrete isn't moving. It's not carrying like the vibration through it. But the floating wood floor, I think, is really a key to that kind of response. So you said the Trias were orders of magnitude better than the B&W, or were those the sub? Well, both of them actually, I would say. So those Focal speakers run circles around those B&Ws, those older B&Ws for sure, in price as well, but I think also in performance materials and all that stuff. But I'm sure those REL subs beat the pants off of that BMW 1000 series subwoofer from 2000 as well. I don't remember all the specs, but I'm sure that they delivered, they hit a lot better, and having two of them as well versus one to go with it. So let's see what else is in here. Theater 1. So of course, Theater Now. So if you've been with the channel these last couple of years, I don't want to dwell on this too much. You know, you can, of course, you know what I did. A couple important elements that served in terms of transitioning from the speakers in the room and all of that to what I have right now. I did move the projector back, trying to get some more throw distance to get prepared for that scope screen. That's just the projector down. So there's the scope presentation in the room, of course. Still got the JVC NX7 up there, just sitting a little further back. Got the Parasounds when they came in, the Focal 1000 series all coming in. You're starting to take stuff down, take stuff out. You know, pulled those speakers down, pulled those brackets down. There's all those 906s. I sold all those, actually. I think I sold every pair of those speakers at a profit. So this was December of 2021, and I sold these speakers in early 2022. And based on COVID times, price increases, availability of stuff, and the price I paid for these on sale when I bought them, you know, back in 2018, I actually sold 3-year-old Focal speakers at a profit. Again, taking all this stuff down, pulling stuff down, brackets are down. These are the brackets that I just gave away. Getting ready to take the screen and the curtains down, taking the acoustic panels down, getting ready to build. There's so the original screen was a Stewart SEMA. That's a fantastic screen. Highly recommend that if you're going for a fixed frame white screen, and especially if you want a 16:9 aspect ratio. And Stewart SEMA is huge. There's the AVM 70. Let's see, you know, this is all late 2021. Getting the templates up and the locations and all that to put these Focal speakers in. I got this whole thing on the channel. So of course, you know, we did the channel in mid 2021, and this was end of 2021, start of 2022. So I've logged this whole build. All those videos are on the channel, and a lot of these same photos. But there we go. There's the Focal 1000s going in. Cutting holes for the other speakers, the side surrounds, rear surrounds. That's the IW6 Focals. I was able to do this, you know, pretty cleanly in the space. A couple of good tips in those old vlogs, you know, using the vacuum cleaner. I used a Dremel to cut everything out. That was awesome. I don't remember where I saw that, but a Dremel with a drywall side cutting tip was just absolutely fantastic. Sure, if you got closer to these cuts, they'd be a little squirrely, but from these photos, you can tell, you know, they're pretty straight cuts. So I was pretty happy with the way everything turned out there. Got all those Focals in there. I'd like to have these spread out a little bit more than they are, but going back to one of the earlier questions, right? These are in the studs, in the stud channels, and so I had to go where I could go. You know, I couldn't go another whole channel over from where they are, but you know, there's still channel separation there. And all that. For all the folks that say my surrounds are too high, they're within Dolby spec, but at least the tweeters are underneath the woofers. So tweeter part of the speakers is lower than the woofer part. Again, you can get a better view here of those curtains. And so that's the 16:9 cutout right of the screen in the scope screen, just laid right up on it. It's one of the reasons as well that I stuck with the same height of a scope screen as I had for the 16:9, because I didn't have to move or change this lumber out. I just took the screen down, took its mounting channels, and put the next ones back up. There's the stick-on panel. So all these little mini fiber acoustic panels all over the front wall, all around the speakers, help to kill some of the reflections off the back of the screen. Yeah, and got them all the way around every one of those speakers, and just taped up over the these here. This is a plug and some connection pass-throughs and stuff for when that's where that TV was, of course. So they were white and I didn't want to see them behind the screen, so I just electric taped them over. And then here's the mounting channels for the Seymour screen. Just kind of hangs right in those channels and then rests on the bottom lumber. There you go, 163-inch 16:9. Added the rug. I really like the rug. I think it goes back. I probably should have went with a darker carpet, but I'm glad that we added the rug. The perspective of this photo is a little bit skewed. It's not quite that big, but I really like. I think the rug was a great addition for a couple $100 down in front of the screen, blacking out and all that. So here's adding those tops. I would have really liked to put these back tops in the soffit here, but I couldn't. I've got geothermal HVAC and stuff in that soffit, and it wouldn't have accommodated the speakers. So I fundamentally have like front tops and mid tops rather than them being behind. But again, you got to deal with what you have. And luckily everything worked out. Even still going to in-walls, I was able to run the wire. I didn't have to tear too much stuff up because of the way everything went. And this is one of the benefits of still living in this house and having built it. I've got all the photos. I got all the pictures of every wall as they were framed, the infrastructure that's in them. Like I know every inch of this house, top to bottom, front to back, side to side. So it really helped out in kind of doing this project, the second iteration of this stuff. There's the Arundels. Been super happy with these. There's the front corner. So that's the one I relocated. Of course, it's in the back right corner now. Get around with the positioning of these a little bit. Fantastically built subwoofers. So if you recall from the earlier build, this is where those rear height brackets were, and the wall was a little jacked up there from having had those brackets screwed in. And I didn't want to mess with repainting again and cleaning that up. So I just bought some 2x2 acoustic panels and fitted them over top, cover up the mess, so to speak. There's the ceiling. Of course, everybody, if you've been on the channel for a little while, you know some of the pain I had trying to get those things mounted with them falling down. And that's the end of that. And that's where we are. That's where we are today. Let's come back here and hit up some questions. We're going to probably be taking off here pretty soon. Michael Lawless. Let's see. How many movies are in your iTunes library, Disc K? iTunes, like 1,500. Discs, almost null, or effectively null. And then Kaleidoscape, like 1,300 or so. I benefited greatly from my ultraviolet library porting into K. And then over the years, I've really, formerly did a lot of disc to digital in that, taking advantage of sales and stuff. Why did you change from the REL subs to the present subs? I wanted more bass, basically. The RELs were 15-inch subs, and I kind of got a little tired of like trying to figure out how do I want these RELs hooked up. Like, I think it's more of an audiophile subwoofer than maybe a home theater subwoofer, at least those specific models, with whether you use the high level, low level connections or not in that. But I just wanted something more, something bigger. So I got the dual 14s, which is the equivalent cone of like a 21-inch sub, as I understand it. More power, more bass power, and all of that. Just ready to try something else. Michael asking, how much of a difference do you notice in arc? Oh, so we used the room there. Again, we started building at the end of 2018. We were watching movies by early 2019, but we didn't have the panels until mid 2019. So there's probably 3 or 4 months where we watched movies with no acoustical panels and only just doing like Odyssey, running Odyssey because I had the AV7704 at the time. And I remember like a couple weeks before we got the acoustical panels, we watched Aquaman, DC Comics superhero movie. And that was a mess. That was a bloated, jumbled mess of uncomfortable bass response in the room with no panels, to the point where like it was like no good. um, and then we got the panels, and I watched those scenes again, and like everything was better. So the panels immediately like tightened up a lot of the imaging, right, cutting down reflections and stuff like that, um, improving like decay times and all that, and controlling the bass a little bit more. So the panels were transformative, were definitely transformative in the acoustics of the room. And then to me, I changed a lot of other stuff at the same time, right? So I changed Marantz to Anthem. I changed Emotiva to Parasound. I changed the subwoofers, and we changed, still stayed Focal with a lot of similarities, I would say, between the Electra speakers and the 1000 series. The Arias to the 1000s are very different. But so a lot of different things changed at the same time. But the one thing that I'll say about Anthem versus like Denon Marantz is I had the living room running on, when I first got the Anthem, I hooked it up. No, it was the Zone 2 actually back then. I'm sorry, trying to remember the sequence of events here. There was a period of time as well where I was running the living room as just basically a Zone 2 audio with the Marantz and then with the Anthem. And I remember specifically no art correction, none of that stuff. But the first time I turned the AVM 70 on and ran the Zone 2 in the living room, everything sounded better to me than it had with the Marantz. And that was Zone 2, no arc and any of that stuff. Just like I think there's detail, clarity. There's a quality difference. It's a step up, at least from those 7704 models to this Anthem. Now the newer Marantz, right? They've got their new models out. They're stepping up their game and all that. But to me, I'm very much home with Anthem now. This is a good question. What volume do you normally watch movies at? I'm sure it changes by a little bit. So my family is consistently telling me to turn it down. Sometimes disappointingly so. We were watching Spider-Man, and my daughter's like, "Can you turn it down?" It's like, really? Come on, we're like at the limit of what we're at the limit of where I would want to turn it down to. So I've been running a little bit of a decibel meter. This is an interesting little segue. So I have this now, something I want to play around with. This company, Techthusiasm, they make all kinds of different meters, digital meters and analog meters, I think, and so on. That they sell on Amazon, but they're like, "Hey, would you like some of our sound pressure, sound level meters?" And I have an analog one, and I've been using one on my phone as well. And I was checking when I was doing demo scenes with my friends. We're like in the 90s, 90 dBs, 100 dB, I think, or at like demo listening volume, not movie listening volume. But so I just got this thing, and they actually sent me 2 of them. The second one here. So I have one to give away. I'll do that sometime on the channel coming up. But so I want to keep this. I just literally got them within the last few days, but I'm going to keep this in the room on the table behind me. And then the next time I get together, well, if we get together, we watch this John Wick movie next week, or I'll probably watch some other movies hopefully next week as well. I want to answer that question for myself. And so I'll use this, have this thing always handy to take a grab and see where I'm at. But I'm curious. I think probably only in the 80s would be my guess, particularly with like the family, where we're at with family volume. I would think, and then maybe a little higher than that, several dB higher if I'm in there by myself. So, so Julius, would you say your Focals are the best sounding speakers you've ever had? Oh, for sure. But I haven't had that many, right? Me personally, I've owned the B&Ws. I've owned the one set of Focals in the room originally. Now I have the 1000s. I've had some sound bars, and that's all that I've ever owned in terms of actual like speakers. I've heard more. Well, no, sorry, the Triads, and then I had the Triads as well. I do prefer I do enjoy the focals that I have the most of everything that I've ever had up to that. Michael asking, oh, I meant what volume setting does the AVM 70? Oh, we're in like the -20s, I would say. And if I can get the family to like -25, that's pretty good. I think I was probably at about -25 on the Anthem when my daughter asked me to turn it down, and so we end up more around like -28, -28, 29 with the family, and then I'm probably in the lower -20s when I watch a movie, and then I go down to like -18 or so, or maybe a little more than that for a demo. But those numbers are skewed. That's why I really am curious to check this out, like real DB in the room, because I find that the Anthem volume number is larger than like where I had always usually seen the Marantz volume numbers. So according to the Anthem volume number, I don't listen as loud as I did when I had the Marantzes prior to that in terms of minus dB. But I don't think that they're, again, they're relative. They're different types of scales, and this will be the real indicator. So I'll update on that in a future stream or talk about it after we watch some content and I remember to bust that thing out and try it out. All right, 12:30. Got a big old family party to get to. I can stay on for a little bit longer. Got a nice group here. Still, if anybody has any final questions, pop them out there. And I appreciate everybody coming out for this home theater journey. Give you some context, kind of like where I've come from, different stuff that I've had. I could probably pull up a couple more shares, go through a few more pictures here. Let me get to the right stuff. To the right. Where are we at? Electronics, setups. So this would be fun. Let's go through this. Sorry, bear with me. Get back here, screen share. All right, so I tried to distill these out, but I've got just a bunch of disparate pictures of my rack. And some of these I had been renaming the photos and some not. Just for reference, these are the long HDMI cables that I use in the setup right now, RUI Pros, fiber optic 2.1s. Got these running. I got 3 of these in the setup right now. One between the two between the TV and the rack, and then one to the projector. So here's some earlier incarnations. What do we got here? I still had the Cyber Power. So this isn't super long ago, but we have the Marantz. So what is this picture dated? October 3rd, 2021. So this is just before starting to upgrade over to the Anthem, to the Parasound, and all that sort of stuff, pulling things out of the rack. That's the AV7704. That's an Emotiva XPA11 Gen 3. I had Gen 1s. Originally, I had a 7, a 5, and a 5 XPA amplifiers from Emotiva. That was my original separates when I was running the living room. So I mentioned 2013, I had an XPA Gen 1, a 3, and a 5 to get 7 channels. And then when I added the Atmos speakers, I bought another 5, like factory refurb from them. And then along the way, I turned all of the Gen 1s into a single Gen 3. That was not a great decision. October 3rd, 2021. So here we got a smaller NAS. So at this point, I had divested myself of my RIPs. There's the Kaleidoscape. That's actually the Strato S. So this isn't the first Kaleidoscape hardware that I owned, but this is when I was transitioning off of the soundbar. So here's the Denon 1600H in the older Triad rack amps that I had running those subwoofers. So here I was just running the Triad Silvers. This is the 2.2 audio for the living room, amplifying the Triad Silvers off of the Denon, and then the Triad subs off of their plate amps. Got the PlayStation 5 in there at the time, Apple TV, of course. Been using those for a long time. This is actually the PC as it is today. This is a more recent photo. Let me jump through past this stuff. Still had all the consoles here. So what is this one? So this is back, I think this is when I was doing the Zone 2 stuff. Yeah, I was doing Zone 2 stuff. So I had decided to kind of get rid of the Denon. I was using the Marantz Zone 2. And then here's all the amps that I was using at the time for the living room, Strato S, Apple TVs. both downstairs. The Zone 2 setup, it had some virtues. Very, very nice. Control 4 there on the left with the Control 4 Zone audio. Now I've got that MDX in there. Just keep rolling through. So we got the Parasounds in. There's the Anthem. This is more of the rack as it is in its current incarnation. I kind of want to get to some of the older photos. Yeah, here we go. So, okay, again. Oh, so here, this is an interesting one. This is a PC. This is before I built the PC into a separate case. I had a rack mount PC build. This is when this is pre-Kaleidoscape. 12 bay Synology. Circa, this is 2017. This is right before I think I bought my first Kaleidoscape. I bought a used Strato off of eBay using the jailbroken Oppo. And this is like the heyday of this kind of setup for sure. Jailbroken Oppo, playing the rips off of off that big old NAS. Had 12 drives in there, fully loaded up. HTPC. Here we go. Got rid of the HTPC here. Got some this is older consoles as well. PlayStation 4, Xbox, whatever it was, One era. Still got the Oppo. There's the Kaleidoscape. So there go the rips, and here comes the Kaleidoscape. This is the original Strato. You can see this is a tall boy. 2U, not the Strato S, but an original Strato 6 terabyte. I think I paid like $22,000 for that on eBay. eBay used back then. The picture's dated 2020, but I think I had it before then. And then I made the transition from that one to the bigger Tera, and all that, and then got off of the Zone 2 setup. So a lot of tinkering. This is where a lot of my the experience comes from, is having played around with different setups, what works, what doesn't work. This is a different PC build I had. This is during COVID year. I was 2 GPUs. I was running some mining, Ethereum mining on that thing at the time. So yeah, again, just kind of showing some of the prior incarnations for Kaleidoscapes. Of course, now I got the Strato C, but the Tera C, the 12 terabyte. I was doing some other mining here, multiple hard drives. This was Chia, another crypto coin. Never really made a whole lot of money on that stuff. A few $1,000 here and there. I think a lot of these are the same photos. So that's the rack. Let's see if I can get to the HTPC, since Michael was asking about this. So this is an older HTPC build, probably really my first major foray into the HTPC realm. This was a big, I think, Silverstone case. All those drive bays up front, room for 6 hard drives. This was before really doing a NAS. Right. So this thing was a gaming PC. It was a server. So there you go. 6 hard drives, all in there. Motherboard with enough SATA connections to run them all. Eventually, you'll see a GPU in there, some kind of ATI or NVIDIA card. I don't know why I had the Blu-ray drive connected here. I was actually ripping on this thing. So there you go. Here's Windows Media Center, classic Windows Media Center. And I had everything in here. Media browser set up. All this really cool like artwork presentation. Yeah, and so what is this? 2010, way before Kaleidoscape was even like a sparkle in my eye. All these movies. So these are ripped Blu-rays, combination probably of Blu-rays and DVDs. But man, Windows Media Center, it was classic. Ripped all the TV, all these old cartoons and stuff, right? Ripped all the individual episodes off the DVDs. And actually, too, back in this point in time, I think might have actually been ripping ISOs. Yeah, this was so cool. Like setting up the disc images for like a box set collection, and then being able to kick off playback of the ISO with menus out of Media Center. And it was a fantastic setup. And then this one has so much audio video. You could do comic books. I actually had my digital comic book library, not with Comixology. This is all pre-Comixology, pre-iPad, everything. These were like downloads, emulators, so much emulators, ripping CDs. Of course, had all the CDs, family photos. This is a second incarnation of the HTPC, not a gaming PC in addition, but just HTPC. You can see there essentially the fanless CPU cooler, passive cooling. I built, I don't know how many different variations of those over the years. I built trying to get the HTPC thing to work. As cool as it was cool for me, never cool for the family. Um, never, never much more than that. So it's gone now, gone by the wayside. All right, let's see. Any last questions, comments? Michael saying, I wonder how Atmos will affect the meter. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Julius asking, you have Emotiva Gen 1s. Yep. I think the Gen 1 was a better amp than Gen 3. Gen 3 is different type of technology. And if you wanted just like full bore Class A or whatever, Class AB power, um, then and more current, drive harder speakers, bigger speakers, and all that stuff, the Gen 1s, Gen 1, Gen 2 is the preferable way to go. That Gen 3 amp was cool because it was 11 channels in one chassis. But to do so, you had different modules. You had slightly bigger modules for the mains, and then the like stereo modules for the other ones. So, all right, that's that. I think I'm going to leave it here. So, again, thank you everybody for 2 awesome years of like fun time doing YouTube. I'm here to stay. Got so much exciting stuff ahead. I think I will continue doing everything I can, building up this channel, building up the opportunities, building the communities. I appreciate, again, all of the support, the likes, the subs, the shares, the comments, the engagement, certainly any of the monetary support along the way. It's just been an absolute joy, absolute joy of growth and opportunity. And I think way much more ahead. So in the next week coming up, I've got a couple of videos coming about the subwoofer move and the masking type things. Like I said, I'm going to be doing the projector, some projector maintenance and setup. We'll be playing with some decibel meters. I need to catch up a little bit on streaming technical stuff. We've had a couple of big movies come out, John Wick, Fast X, and I haven't done any of the streaming bitrate type of content. But let me know, let me know what kind of content you want to see out of the channel, and I will keep plugging away. So to all the fathers out there, have an awesome, wonderful Father's Day, Father's Day weekend, and I will be back soon. Thanks everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Come on back for more home theater discussion and fun.